know that the Potawatomi, which was a powerful tribe, they was part of the three fires, were in Detroit. You see this? What tribes were in Detroit, Michigan? Now you see this, right? The Potawatomi. Now watch this. We finna put in now what tribes were in Indiana? And watch. The Potawatomi. The Potawatomi is their name, y'all. We researching this live. We're in Indiana. Watch this. If they keeping it real, it's gonna pop up. What native tribes? What I tell you? Look. What Native American tribes were in Indiana? Now we just seen the Potawatomi was in where? Detroit, right? Now check this out. Among the major tribes that lived in what is now Indiana, were the Delaware, the Kickapoo, the Miami, the Mound Builders, the Piakashaw, the Potawatomi, Shawnee. There they go, Potawatomi. All right? So they don't want people to know that the Potawatomi were in Indianapolis and Detroit. Because if they know that, then they could connect that they were a part of this huge Illinois Confederation. All right? The Potawatomi had Michigan. And they were in Indianapolis. And then Shawnee were in Indiana too. So Shawnee had the other half of Indiana and Ohio. Now check this out. Look up what tribes were in Indiana. Shawnee, right? Now watch this. What tribes were in Ohio? I said the Shawnee, right? Now what tribes were in Ohio? What tribes were in Ohio? Among the tribes, what tribes were in Ohio? Among the tribes occupying the land in Ohio were the Shawnee. I ain't gotta finish. And look, and they in Detroit too. The Ojibwe way again, there they go. When they in Detroit too? Yeah, because this whole land was the Illinois Confederation. You see what I'm saying? Hidden history. All of this is the Illinois Confederation. So now, all right, that brings me here to the Chicago fire, this great Chicago fire story that they tell people that was born and raised in Chicago, right? Now, if you from Chicago, they tell you this story about this great Chicago fire that took place. And they talk about how this lady had a cow and she knocked the lamp over and the whole Chicago caught on fire. Oh, Chicago, and they had to rebuild it. But in reality, that's a motherfucking lie. All right? That never happened. They say the Great Chicago Fire was a conflagration that burned in the American city of Chicago during October 8th through October 10th, 1871. Now, they teach us this story in Chicago, right? Growing up in Chicago, I heard this story in school about the lady. She knocked the fucking lamp over. Let them tell it. All right? Let's see if they say the beginning. That the lady's supposed to knock the, I forgot her name. Here it go. Check it out. Origin. The fire is claimed to have started at about 8:30 p.m. on October 8th in or around a small barn belonging to the O'Leary family that bordered the alley behind 137 DeCoven Street. The shed next to the barn was the first building to be consumed by the fire. City officials never determined the exact cause of the blaze, but the rapid spread of the fire due to a long drought in the prior summer, strong winds from the southwest, and the rapid destruction of the water pumping system explain the extensive damage of the mainly wooden city structures. There has been much speculation over the years on a single start to the fire. The most popular tale blames Miss O'Leary's cow, who allegedly knocked over a lantern. Others state that a group of men were gambling inside the barn and knocked over a lantern. All right, anywhere it go, they trying to say she knocked over a lantern and started a whole fire, right? And the whole fucking Chicago burnt down. This was before 1871. Now, they show you all these pictures saying that this is how Chicago looked at before 1871 and before the fire, all right? This is Miss O'Leary house before the fire, right? But these are all lies. They done went back and took some pictures, wrote themselves in history. None of this shit took place, all right? They did have a big fire, but the fire had nothing to do with no cows. What they did was when they killed off all the Illinois, all right, the last battle was fought in Chicago by Chief Chicago. They was the last ones they got. When the Spanish came, they killed the ones in Ohio first, Indiana, Michigan, then they got Wisconsin, Minnesota. They got everything first. The last state to give in was the state of Illinois. All right, and that was Chief Chicago, and he was there fighting with the Peoria and a few more tribes that had scattered together because so many of us had been killed or captured, enslaved or whatever. So what really happened was In that final battle, when they killed so many of us off, they set the whole Chicago ablaze to hide all those dead bodies. Okay? They set the whole Chicago on fire to hide all those dead bodies. All right? And then they try to give us this story in school that about this whole big fire that broke out, and which is why the whole Chicago caught on fire and had to be rebuilt. Because they had to rebuild Chicago. All right? Chicago looked totally different before 1871 in this fire. All right? And they had to rebuild it afterwards. But they rebuilt it over the bodies of all these dead Indians. And these Indians are us. Okay? So this is where this ancient warrior spirit come from, that's in Chicago, this plague in Chicago. And that warrior spirit is really for them to rise against the oppressors. But they got our people under black magic voodoo spells where they are using this ancient warrior energy to make them hurt each other. All right, and they are not just doing this in Chicago, they doing this in every single state that's a part of this Illinois Confederacy. They know that you are ancient souls and spirits. Most souls and spirits go back to where they wanted to avenge themselves. So if you were a part of this Confederacy and you died in that and you came back to avenge it, you're going to come back in one of these states. All right? And the elites know this. And not just with this tribe. They do this down in Florida with the Florida Seminole tribe. They do this with all different type of tribes. But we just talking about the Illinois Confederacy right now. All right? A very powerful tribe. A very powerful tribe. A huge tribe. And them taking this realm, they couldn't have did it without defeating the Florida Seminoles and the Illinois. Those are two tribes that they had to get rid of. The Florida Seminoles, I'm doing a lecture on them next. They were one tribe by themselves, though. The Illinois were composed of 12 different tribes. And that's why all this energy is still here today in these states. That's why so much aggression and violence in these states, in this area. Old ancient warrior energy still here. But they are not to be used amongst each other. They are supposed to be used for the oppressor who did what he did. Oh yeah, it get deep. It get deep. And this is why they hide it though. Oh, this is the same land. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but they cast up these old energies because they named the city Chicago after the chief. Then they named all these states after these dead Indians, which are us. So that's like spell casting and making mockery of us in a way. So that energy be fizzling. And it's not just there. This is in any land we just talking about here right now, though. I'm just connecting these dots. Some of y'all never knew. All of this was just one tribe, one nation of 12 tribes moving as one to fight off the Spanish who were trying to take our land. So this energy is still on us as a whole. This ain't just start now. They've been doing this to us before African slavery because they did this to us when we was Native American slaves, when they called us Native Americans. They was naming us Native Americans. We wasn't going for that shit. We was fighting. We was rebelling. That's why a lot of our ancestors died. So when you talk about ancestors, your ancestors were African slaves and your ancestors were Native Americans because that's what these oppressors named them. But you know, in reality, we was Anunnaki gods the whole time, though. All right? We just connecting dots. And this is karmic, and they have to pay for this karmic debt that they did to this. You know, they got to pay for this. This is what's going on the planet. And this is happening, like I said, I'm going to be breaking this down all over. We just started with the Midwest right now. This was the Fighting Illini, Chief Chicago, Chief of Chiefs, one of the most vicious sect of native tribes that fended off these Spanish conquistadors, the Fighting Illini and the Florida Seminoles. And that's why to this day they called them the Fighting Illini. That's what that really meant. Especially those who watch like college. You ever wonder why they called them that? That's where that name come from. Cause they put up a hell of a fight before they finally took the land. And see, the oppressors, they don't understand magic and spellcasting the way we do. If they did, they would have never named this land after us. Indiana and Illinois and Chicago and Wisconsin. Naming the name after these chiefs of these different tribes. You see what I'm saying? You can't do that. That energy gonna come back to bite you eventually, and that's what's going on right now. See what I'm saying? It's deeper than you think, Reflections. It's all connected. This is a war they will not win. This is an ancient war. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. It's an ancient war. This is an ancient war. This has been going on. This ain't new. Add this on top of everything they told you. You the Native Americans. And they sitting here showing you these people. That ain't how we look. You looking at us right now. This is how we look. You want to know how the Indians look? Let me remind you. Let me show you. There you go. You want to see how Indian look? Looking at one. There you go. Don't I look like you? And I can really say, like, my great-grandma is full-blooded Cherokee. And I'm pretty sure your great-grandma was full-blooded something too. And your great-grandma, right. So what does that tell you? How you had 3 generations ago, your grandmama was full-blooded Cherokee, my grandmama was full-blooded whatever, and now we African Americans. What does that tell you? You see what I'm saying? We just picked up a different name. It get deep, man. And it's deeper than that because they slaughtered us. So that energy is still here, and then they built cities over us. Understand? They built the whole city over us, killed the chief of our whole tribe, killed our whole tribe off, the whole confederation off, renamed the land Michigan and all these different cities and states, then made the main city Chicago. The biggest city in the Midwest is Chicago. And then you built the whole city over where you killed him at in the last of the Peoria tribe and make that downtown, like where all of downtown Chicago at, them was all dead bodies. It was so many dead bodies right there, and they built a whole downtown Chicago over there. And named it Chicago. You could have named it anything, but they lack a soul, and they ain't creative, so they still want to name it after. Make a whole team called the Chicago Blackhawks, been making billions off the name. That's the name of the hockey team, Chicago Blackhawks. Blackhawk was the actual chief, and so was Chicago. He was the chief of the whole Illinois Confederacy. We talking 12 states. Gangsters. They was gangsters. You seen the poster I put up with Kills and Water? Come on now. They was gangsters, man. Y'all, man, how we was coming, man. Come on now. Come on now. How we was coming now. So it's nothing to fear. You gotta remember, man, they took everything from us, man. They took everything from us. So what is this? What does this say? It's a real poster. And what was he wanted for? Wanted by the U.S. government for the murder of an entire military outpost. Yeah. This was the Illinois. Left hand bull, you see them names on there? Left hand, look. These names. Left hand bull, Swift Hawk, Blind Man, Kills Insight. These are our ancestors. These are different names that they gave our ancestors because of how we was killing their ass. You get what I'm saying? If you was good at killing in water, that's what you was named. Remember, the Florida Seminoles was using alligators. All right? Redbird and bird. We was using little elk. He was using elks. You see what I'm saying? We was using animals, everything. We was using the whole forest still. We was still in tune back then. Walking eagle. Why didn't they call them that? Because they was using this stuff, you know. Like they was using stuff. Like, listen, man, we been using, man. Look, our roots run so deep. Our roots run so deep, man. You hear me? We wasn't playing. Your ancestors didn't fuck around about this freedom shit. And this was all behind them trying to take our land. Yes, they wanted by the U.S. government, but for why? Why did he do that? Because they was trying to take our land. They was raping our the same shit they own. This is about this war. They was trying to prevent what ended up happening. Their kids, us coming up in this. Facts. Better remember who you is, man. You feel me? And remember Chief Chicago and the fight in the line, how they gave it up. Remember the Florida Seminoles, how they gave it up. Them y'all ancestors too. When you needing that courage and that inspiration, remember how we move. When the cause right and it's justice, like right now, we don't want to go to war, but they ain't gonna give us nothing back. They not just gonna give it back to us. You think they gonna just give it back to us? Look at this, y'all. They didn't forget that. wanted by the U.S. government for the murder of an entire military outpost. You're talking 50 to 60 to maybe 100 men, armed men. One God did that. One by himself. Come on, they didn't forget that. The oppressors didn't forget this type of shit. They ain't giving us nothing back. Why you think they gonna give us back? They had to work hard to get it. Our ancestors ain't make it easy. Hold on. We ain't make it easy. We ain't just give it up. That's what I'm saying. They hide all these stories to keep the rebel spirit down. It's already in you to rise. So to keep it down, you know what I'm saying? They try to hide that type of shit. But right now they kidnapping our babies, killing our kids. How is we supposed to react? Making us pay for everything. We gotta go work for shit. This our land. We don't want to war for it. Can we just get it back? But they ain't gonna just give it back. So what does that mean? Okay, we've already marched. Our ancestors ain't marched, man. Come on, man. That's why they hide that. They don't want you to remember. They don't want you to know, hey, you the end. They don't want you. That's too much more pain on top of pain. So you're like, hold on. Now, when you find out you're the Indians, so you're like, hold on. So first off, we was the Indians first. You telling me you telling me we was the Indians first. And then they enslaved us and got us in physical shackles. And when they finally physical shackled us, then they renamed us. We became African American slaves. And then after they freed us, they divided us into African Americans and Latin Americans. We became Puerto Ricans and everything else. And black people. So, yes, that's what happened. Yes, nigga. So then you really be like, oh, this is my land. Fight. Like, you know this your land if you know you the Indians. You're like, damn, hold on, the Indians was already here. Oh, damn, we the Indians? Yes. And before you were Indians, you was just gods. You became Indians after you fell in frequency. It's been a long time coming, Reflections. You got to remember who you are, man. This is an ancient war. This is ancient energies here. All right, so when you talk about Chicago, why it's so violent, and why Detroit, these places so violent, and they produce a lot of, like outspoken, like me, I'm outspoken because of that warrior ancient energies. You get what I'm saying? Ancient energies that's there, so they transpire through avatars. And the oppressors notice it's not just in the Midwest. This is East Coast. Well, this is all over the fucking planet. We just focusing on this tribe right now. But that's not including, like I say, you go deeper than that. The original fault is in you. A lot of land, man, and they hid it. They hid it. Whole Chicago fire, man. And it's sad because I remember them teaching us this bullshit story in school when I grew up in Chicago about the Great Chicago Fire. They didn't tell us that they set our fucking ancestors on fire. Motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Because our ancestors wasn't going. So to hide the bodies, they had to set everything on fire. And then they built over the burnt dead bodies. They built Chicago over all the burned dead bodies. Ain't no motherfucking Miss O'Leary knocking no motherfucking nothing over. Feel me? It get deep. Alright? But I'm gonna see y'all in class tomorrow we got a deep lesson tomorrow on liquid gold. Alright, I want y'all to take in that lesson I just gave y'all about Chief Chicago, Chief of Chiefs, in the fight in Illinois. We're going to be doing more tribes, all right? More lessons coming up on these different tribes. This must be known. But this is where this energy is coming from. And this is why that's why I'm reaching so hard for the streets and telling them to stop killing each other, because that's the oppressors' tool. Like, it's warriors in them states, man, that's so strong by themselves they can stop a whole army. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they don't want. That's why they got them killing each other. You get what I'm saying? It get deep. And they had us like that when I remember they had me like that at a point in time. But this is why these are these ancient warrior energies that are here that are within us. All right? But I'm going to see y'all tomorrow in class. Peace to the guys and guys of the planet God. And I re-rise. 1.